Welcome to the PTTS. Today's date is March 12, 2026. My name is Ning Hong Lam. I don't know what's going on with my mother, Sung Hui. She's just complaining at me again. So I don't know, like, I'm gonna start rehearsing maybe prepositions for the Chinese Bible Church if they could help me out on relocation, because I really don't know why is my mother doing this to me. It's like, we've been living together for so many years, and like I wasn't like a totally asshole son to her all the time. Why she have to see me, have to complain at me all the time. Okay, so the following, it's the rehearsal. I'm just gonna start rehearsing. Basically, since a lot of time, like in the Chinese Bible Church, we either talk in English or Cantonese. So I'm gonna try to rehearse in Cantonese, and then if it doesn't really, maybe then I might switch to English. Okay, so I'm gonna begin rehearsing. So just in case you don't understand Cantonese, certain translation, you might have to look it up and things like that. Okay, so I kind of paused the video to wipe out. It was like some dust on the screen, so I kind of wipe it up, pause. Anyway, I accidentally touched a button. There's like some marking on the screen, so I'm just gonna continue while there's a marking on the screen. Anyway, so the following is basically like maybe just in a greeting, I kind of like probably just see if they really asking what is going on in my life. Maybe kind of like make a transition, not too direct, kind of like in a way it would just, because I mean before I went to the Chinese Bible Church taking the buses, I used to also go with my father, Chong Wan Lam. That was before he died. He passed away already on around December 2020, which sometimes I keep confusing either 21 or 20, because like I sometimes say 21, sometimes say 20, because of I was in a shock when he passed away. So I kind of like like I just took me some time to get over that. So I really couldn't recall the exact year. So sometimes I have to get over this shock, like, because after I got over the shock, I haven't looked back on it, so I didn't know the exact day. So I have to look back on it to find the exact day. So it's either 20 or 21, 2020 or 21. So I was in shock when he passed away. So I kind of like tried to not to grieve about it. So that's why I couldn't really recall the exact day. And okay, so anyway, so like before my father passed away, and then before that, because he couldn't go to church anymore because he was feeling some illness. And so but before he had the illness, he did went to church even though he had the illness. So he had to kind of like be at a more private room. Remember, like I went to church with him, there were a few times he had to be in a private room, because he sometimes get like headaches, or like he just fall asleep during the while in the church, so things like that. So he tried to go, but it just and sometimes he had to leave early because of having stomach ache or headache and things like that. So because of his illness, it was just he's a elderly person, is over 80 years old already. So just his age, from the like as an old man, he have that illness, the illness, old man, just the so kind of like in a way, just kind of like staying home would be more, like don't feel this sort of illness, because at church maybe it's not as comfortable, even though like the church members gave him like a private room, like by himself. Even though like I would be in the private room with him, making sure he's okay and everything, but it's still, like he's still having the like couldn't really stand long, like. So afterward, he just stopped going to the church anymore. So so I just also stay home with him, watch if he's watch over him and things like that. So I didn't go to church also when he didn't go to church. So anyway, a few years after he didn't go to church, he passed away like around either 2000, after like again 2020 or 21. I was in shock, so I didn't, like write down that, kind of just wanted just to, just get through the grieving and the shock and all of that. So just couldn't recall the exact date for now, and I just kind of wanted to get past that because it's just a lot of shock and grieving and things like that. Anyway, so after he passed away, like years later, it was on August of last year, 2025. The Chinese Bible Church gave me an invitation to one of the picnic, and in the picnic I was get to talk with some of the Chinese Bible Church member and things like that, and then I felt, maybe, so I started taking steps as, wanting to go to church again. It's just like, I still remember I was going with my father, like, every Sunday, before he got the illness. Like, we go regularly every Sunday and things like that. It's just just, being at the elderly, because he's over 80, it's just that, because he had to walk with those elderly person that you have to walk with, those that supporting, kind of like not like exact like crutch, but it's kind of like that, like there's wheel on it, you push, and so he had to use that. And actually, just while walking, and then like from the certain part, like going to grocery and everything, I have to push him in a wheelchair, just to walk around the house. You have to use that, and so kind of like just his age, elderly person. So it's not really exactly some kind of illness, just part of being an elderly person. You have that kind of. Okay, so anyway, like, to go to church or go to supermarket, or just like, also he often go to the barber shop to cut his hair, and like just places he need to go, I would push him to around on the wheelchair to take him to those places. But like just walking around the house, you have to still use, it's kind of like a crutch, but it's like wheel holding, I don't know what's the name for that. It's like, so like, but outside the house, I push him around. He's sitting on the wheelchair, and I would push him to places he need to go and things like that. Like I was just saying, I think it's just part of being an elderly person. You just feel like not as, kind of like you have that elderly person, sort of like you're elderly person. You're not young anymore. Kind of like you're just part of the age and things like that. Anyway, like, so I think, he also, this nurse would once in a while would come and check his like just overall, give him a checkup and everything. Once in a while, this nurse come over. So I felt like, if he had some sort of serious illness that he need to be in the hospital, the nurse would inform to him and things like that. Anyway, like I was pretty much like I've seen that the nurse would inform that, and also or like inform because after the nurse check up with my father, the nurse would talk with my older sister, Bun Hong San, like about my father's like how is he doing and things like that. So like if the nurse think that my father have some sort of very serious illness that need to be in the hospital, would also either inform my father or my sister about it and things like that. Since I saw that the nurse also talked with my sister before they leave the house and things like that. So anyway, like pretty much I felt like maybe just because a part of being old that he just does like have to stay home more often and things like that. And so but in the beginning, like I go to church with him regularly, and that back then he still haven't needed crutch or wheelchair or anything. And then as time go by, he start needing a cane, using a cane and walk. And as time go even further into the year, he kind of like I would give him like a help him out, holding his kind of like give him a lending him my shoulder, to hold on to and things like that. So as further as the year keep progressing on, in the beginning he didn't even need any cane or anything, walk regularly, and then after years of time he started needing a cane to walk around, and then after a few more like years as it passed by, like I would lend him my shoulder he could walk with and things like that. And anyway, and then after he's have to be in a wheelchair, to go to places. Then after that, like about a year or so later, when at church he start feeling some sort of uncomfortable being there and things like that. So the church member told him that he could just stay home and things like that, and just to don't have to go to church, kind of like in a way suggest that he could just stay home and don't have to go to church and things. So like I remember there was about like one time, because he was feeling some sort of like some sort of illness there, and so the church member gave him like a private room, and just to more relax in that private room and things like that. And then afterward, the church members tell him that he doesn't have to, like because he not comfortable being there, so he don't have to go and things like that. And anyway, pretty much on August last year, 2025, like I was saying earlier, that I got an invitation from the Chinese Bible Church for a picnic, and remember in the picnic told, so like when greeting each other, just telling them that some year way back that I used to come to this church with my father, and there were there were members that still remember me, with my going to church with my father and things like that. And remember, like after greeting, they still remember me. I would have a talk with them, and during the picnic and the picnic activity and things like that. Remember, like I had kind of like in a way, because there's one member, Chinese Bible Church member named John. He is member like at the Bible study in Living Water, which is at the Claremont, pretty close to my house. Like at the 9 is kind of like around close by to the 99 Ranch Market at Claremont Mesa Boulevard. So at Living Water, I remember John was the one that in the Bible church he was leading our table. So like in a way, so like the one that is, like starting the Bible study in our table and things like that. So I remember I had talked with John, and while we were in like eating our food in the picnic and things like that, and John was asking about my family and like my relative who were the one kind of like able my family to immigrate to the USA. I was telling John about my aunt Kim Lau and my uncle David Lau, who were the one who gave us the support to able to immigrate to the USA. So I was kind of like in a way, telling them about how our family was able to immigrate to the USA and things like that. Pretty much during that picnic, this Chinese Bible Church CBC picnic felt like was still like the members still remember me going with my father and also going to the Bible study at the Living Water and things like that. So pretty much I felt like they still remember me, and so I felt comfortable, going back to the church again. And remember taking steps as it was so kind of like in a way take steps as to going back there. And there was also like along the way there was Chinese Bible Church who were helping me through this process and things like that. So pretty much so after some weeks of time I was able to go to the church by myself by riding the MTS bus, which is also known as city bus. So but I think the more correct name is called MTS bus. So but back then Mama used to call those buses city bus and things like that. So I was able to ride the MTS bus to, well, right now, like as after going through that transitions. And so I felt so like the next step I felt maybe rehearsing, maybe a chance during greeting, that transition, maybe asking the church members, see if they could kind of like, maybe find some kind of way that I'm able to be relocated out of San Diego and things like that. So felt maybe that would be the next step and things like that. Anyway, like I'm just saying all this is just brainstorming. Like I still haven't really have time to really think it through or anything like that. So as of now, I really don't know. I remember we just mumble out some words while I was taking a shower, like rehearsing what I would say, as this transitions to asking the Chinese Bible Church members see if they could help me relocate and things like that. So we're just saying that kind of in Cantonese, and which is but really I just haven't really thought it through and things like that, just all brainstorming. And I think it's pretty much, I think, because of the PTTS Exclusive First Magazine second update. In that video I was in the really hot and bothered mood. So I remember saying something that I felt like I've been holding in, and it was just maybe a chance to relocate. That was something that I've been trying to, holding in, not talk about and things like that. So maybe because that day in that video I brought it up, that was one of the topic I've been holding in about relocation and things like that. And anyway, maybe like after the greeting, if they ask about how am I doing, things like that, maybe like a transition, probably like in maybe like speaking Cantonese, because sometimes like a lot of time, like we would speak in Cantonese and things like that. And so like maybe as if just been facing a lot of adversities, including bad looks in San Diego, maybe see if the Chinese Bible Church could do something on helping me relocate to a different location and things like that. And like I'm saying, just brainstorming thought. Like right now, I don't know, like I was just thinking maybe like relocate to China, because I remember back in my high school year I had to travel to China, meet some of the relatives there. Maybe when they relocate me to China, like I could meet up with some of the relatives. Like I was saying, I don't know what would really happen. Like does the how would is it maybe have to, when I'm in China, make contact, look up the relative locations, and maybe have a talk with them and see if help me transition this living in China and things like that. Like I was saying, it's all brainstorming right now and things like that. And anyway, I just got out of the shower. I'm still in my underwears, and so I'm gonna end this video. And if I have anything else I need to add to this video, I would add it to the next video. So I'm just gonna put on my pens and everything. So thank you for watching PTTS. Thank you for following PTTS. I'm gonna end this video in 3, 2, 1.